Hello there, and welcome to enVisioning Success, the weekly podcast where marketing masters Laura Di Benedetto and Julia Becker-Collins share their 20 years of PR and advertising expertise. In today's episode, we discuss 5 organizational elements that often benefit from internal marketing rather than external, such as close department integration or a tight-knit company culture, as well as certain types of budget, management, and strategy preferences. Join us for invaluable insights on envisioning success.
Hey everybody, welcome to enVisioning Success. I'm Laura, joined by Julia, and we're here to help you have so much fun making tons of money. The show is sponsored by Vision. We are a 25-year-old marketing agency, and we're super excited to help you be successful. The show is built for you, so if you'd like to go to vision-advertising.com to learn more about what we do or give us some positive or negative feedback, let us know how the show is landing for you, or request a topic, just hit up the contact page and just dive in. Please rate and review the show. It really makes a huge difference.
And subscribe. Smash that subscribe button.
Yeah, do all the things. It really helps us to serve many more people because, believe it or not, the ratings, the reviews, it lets other people know that this is actually worth their time. And that's one of the best ways that we can serve lots of people for free. I just got some communication in my LinkedIn inbox the other day, like, oh, this is great. I can't afford your agency. Okay, no problem. Brand new startup company. But where can I go to learn about stuff? Well, right this way. I have a podcast for you, and it's all about you and what you need to know. So today we're going to be talking about when hiring internally makes sense. We want to make sure that we give you a fully objective point of view. We're going to try to make this episode a little bit shorter. The last one was very long. This one we want to go a little shorter, keep the variety. But let's just dive right in. The first thing we're going to do is give you 5 great actionable tips. And the very first one is a high need for control and integration. Julia, take it away.
Sure. So if your business requires tight integration between marketing and other departments, could be sales, could be operations, could be product development, whatever it might be, or if you need very close supervision. So I'm not saying micromanaging, I'm more saying being more integrated with somebody and that they're on site and that you are really very closely monitoring them. Hiring internally might be advantageous for you. We talked about this 2 episodes ago, so if you haven't listened to episode 37, I highly recommend you go back and do so because I do not want to beat the dead horse dead again, which might be my favorite phrase that a past client gave me. But it's really talking about, how closely integrated, how much supervision do you need to give your marketing professional, or can you hand the reins over to an agency?
Right. So one of those pertains to close supervision. One of those points pertains to tight integration. I'll give you a good example. Financial planners often cannot work with an agency without a great deal of difficulty. Not that there isn't a desire for it or budget for it. It's the compliance departments and the ability to get things out the door is borderline nightmarish. So we do not work with any financial planners currently. Doesn't mean we can't, but there's always going to be a lot of extra work and content waiting to make sure it passes legal and compliance. And honestly, if that's your situation, that's a great time to make sure that you do have someone internal because they can walk over to the department and be like, bing bong, hello, it's me again. Can you please approve this? Thank you so much. Mm-hmm. It's tough to do remotely.
Absolutely. We have a client that's a state department and they're great and we love them, but we definitely find some problems because we are not in their office and we're not involved in the politics of who's the right person to ask for this thing. And did you show up to the, happy hour so that they know you and trust you? It has taken a lot of work to be able to navigate that because we're not as tightly integrated in there with them.
Exactly. Point number 2 is industry-specific expertise. I'll explain this one. So in industries with highly specialized marketing needs or regulatory environments, a lot like what I just described, it might be beneficial to have a dedicated staff who can deeply understand the nuances of your market. A great example would be a military defense contractor, which we've worked with them before, but it's incredibly industry specific. Unless you play golf, you wouldn't necessarily understand this, but marketing golf, unless you actively are ankle deep in it and you're a big golfer yourself, very difficult. There's a lot of industry jargon. Same thing with any sort of sports, different areas of medicine, also the sciences. When you're marketing really high-tech stuff, things, in the military, things, that are not allowed to leave the company, things that are so tightly controlled or they're super complicated, it really is to your advantage to have someone internal for those things. And sometimes, like in a high-tech environment, I've worked with a lot of high-tech over the years, but sometimes what they're doing is so complicated and so lightning fast, they can't communicate with us enough to actually help us to do a good job because things happen so rapidly. I mean, because, technology is amazing, right? But it evolves so quickly. Unfortunately, it's just a relationship doomed to fail because there's just insufficient tether. But internally, man, you can knock it out of the park.
Yeah, I had a conversation a number of years ago with a CMO for a pharmaceutical company because in the Boston area, you can't throw a stone without hitting some kind of pharmaceutical or life science company. And they have so many industry specific regulations that it's just not a good fit for us to be their outsourced marketing partner because not only is it that we don't have the expertise they need, it's just too many red tape, bureaucracy, things you can and can't do. They need a highly, highly specialized internal person.
Mm-hmm. The only exception would be for like little one-off jobs, like a marketing strategy being built for them. You don't need to be in the weeds as much for that. Little projects like a logo or just like, can you do an ad design? Here are the specs. You can work with an agency for the one-off projects, but for dedicated support, yeah, that's where an internal person's definitely better. What's the next one, Julia?
Building long-term internal capabilities. So if developing a long-standing, internally competent marketing team aligns with your strategic vision for your company, starting with a few key hires might be the right step. So are you scaling in a way where you want to build out your own internal marketing department so that you have the specialization in-house? You want to start with those internal hires. And maybe that's based on you have that industry specific expertise that they need or regulations, etc.
Or like we talked about in episode 37, if you are a sizable enough company where you can afford to build your own marketing department with a CMO. So a big part of what Vision provides, and many other marketing agencies, not all, is CMO for hire services. That's a big part of what we provide is we do all of that complicated work. But if you've got enough resources, you've got enough capital where you can actually bring on an entire department, building your long-term internal capabilities will be a useful, lucrative investment for you. Again, you can always partner with an agency for the one-off projects or a little guidance, or sometimes to outsource a couple areas of niche expertise that you just don't want to staff full-time. But yeah, this is an instance of definitely wanting to be large enough to make it worthwhile.
Definitely. Laura, what's the next one?
Cost considerations in the long term. So for smaller, steady state marketing efforts, the long-term costs of internal hires might, and I say might, eventually undercut agency fees. It really depends. So I'll give you a great example. SEO, search engine optimization. That's a really, really powerful tool that takes forever to work, but once it starts to work, it works great and you have to dedicate a lot to it. In the short term, it's really worthwhile to invest in that and have an agency lead the way, build the strategy, set the best practices, do all that stuff. But if you decide that A, your company is large enough and you've got the resources, it does make sense to consider the cost considerations long term. And you may want to, if you decide that SEO is really, really critical to your strategy, to bring on a dedicated SEO expert where that is all they do and you can have a dedicated person. Again, this is not a generalist, this is a specialist. So if you decide that a particular aspect of your marketing program is worthy of like doubling down, 10xing down on because you're like, hell yeah, this is where I get all my leads from and it's really paying off for you. Yeah, at that point, then it makes sense to have someone on your team, because if that's all they do all day long, yeah, it definitely makes more sense.
Yep. Agreed.
Julia, what's number 5?
Well, number 5 to close out our list for this episode is cultural fit and commitment. Employees who share your company's culture and are committed to its long-term success can be invaluable, as we know at Vision and as a lot of companies know, particularly in aligning marketing efforts closely with company values. When you hire an agency, they are not going to be part of your culture. They're going to be your outsourced marketing partner. And you, as we have talked about in past episodes, you want to like them, you want to get along with them, but they don't need to have the same culture you do. They have their own company culture. If it's essential that somebody that you bring on to do the marketing is ingrained in that culture, then that is a great opportunity to hire internally.
Agree. Conversely, if it's not important to you, well, get an agency. In the case of us, and in this case, I mean us very specifically, with Vision, we do tend to align culturally, personality-wise, a lot with our clients. Frankly, that's the only way that we really want to work with people. We need to be able to enjoy working with you. We don't want to cringe when we have to answer the phone. We want to look forward to your call. We want you to look forward to our call. We want to really deeply enjoy working together. And it's always helpful when we meet people who have shared values. Do we always align with everybody's values? No. I mean, my husband and I have been together for 10 years. I don't even align with that dude, and I share a house with him. So like, don't ever think you're going to completely align. But like, I think about our clients and who we have, and, you know, we align in the important areas. Like, we care about integrity. We care about quality. We really care about, you know, a good quality relationship and deep conversation and data, and also just having fun and enjoying the relationship. And here it is. I'm excited about this. My 42-year-old client and I, 43, yesterday were laughing over the fact that Gen Z calls us chuggy. And I had to Google it because I don't know what that means. And we were having a hearty laugh. I sent him a segment about it. I mean, that was pretty chuggy, but like...
It's fine. We're old. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it basically means like you're out of fashion, you're not cool anymore. Fine. And if you are that person, fun fact, that makes you a chug. Anyway, my clients and I were laughing our heads off about that while we were talking about metrics and performance. And, you know, the good cultural fit there was we just like to laugh. We're also like around the same age. And I mean, that's good stuff. So this is really like a hit or miss, you know, 50-50, depends on if it matters to you or not. But even if it does, you can find an agency that can align with you really well. But also, there is truth to the argument that you don't always have to like the people that you work with if they're very good at their jobs. So, but if it's important to you, internal is going to be a great fit, or find an agency that's also a great fit. And that's it. So that puts a bow on this episode. I did promise you a short one. Here we go. We're coming in hot at like 14 minutes. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to this. I'm Laura. That's Julia. The show is sponsored by Vision. Go to vision-advertising.com. We would love to serve you. If you have questions, you can always ask. And no, you do not have to pay for quick answers to quick questions. Just hit us up. We'd love to talk. Have a great day, and we'll see you next week.